Ho, ho, ho. I feel like Santa Claus because I am giving you a huge gift today. I am giving you a guest called Kelly Starrett. That's right, K-Star, one of the legends of the CrossFit world, who head of MWOD and just the go-to guy when it comes to physical therapy. One of my favorite people in the world. One of the people, first CrossFit people I ever met. We talk about it in this episode. He is our guest tonight. Before we get to the episode, I just want to talk to you about a couple things, a little administration shit. I want to thank the guys in Worcester that came out, Worcester, Mass, who came out from the CrossFit gym. They drove pretty far to come see me. That was very nice of you. I'm at Laugh Boston this week. I'll be recording some podcasts up there. That's the 7th, 8th, and 9th. I will be at Laugh Boston in the Seaport district, which is in the Westin Hotel, I believe, is where the club is. It's a beautiful club, one of the nicest clubs in the country. And I'll be headlining there Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. I'm going to be doing, I know I'm doing a show with Sean Rocket, the doctor. I also might be going skiing one day. Who knows? But I will try to get out to, I think it's called CrossFit Southie. I've been there before. It's an amazing gym. It's huge, huge gym. And last time I was there, I remember brutal workouts. So hopefully I'll get to do that. And if you guys are enjoying the show, please keep going to our Patreon. Go to our Patreon and donate, because you donate. It's such a good thing to donate, because not only do you donate and help the show, and then we continue to make great shows. We're working really hard to do that. But we also give you stuff. Like we give you a Myopux or a leopard claw. How about that? If you listen to the show at all, you hear me talk about it all the time. The Myopux is an electronic muscle stimulator. It's a pain reliever. You use it to actually pump your muscles. It's electronically pumps your muscles, gives them contractions to pump out all the bad blood and force it into your lymphatic system. And then the leopard claw, what it is, that's like a scraper. And you use that, you put some foam on you, and it scrapes out all that bad junk in you, that's congestion, and you scrape that. They work together in conjunction with each other, and it's great. You use the scraper first, and you scrape up anything that's like there's gooking up, and there's just bad. You know what I'm talking about. You got an area around your elbow, your forearm, in your leg, anywhere. Any kind of soft tissue. You start working it, and then you put on the Myopux and hook that up to you and let that go to work, and you don't do anything. That just pumps it all out of there. So every week we pick someone to give those to. Okay. And, I've gotten a little crazy. Not only do I give them a Myopux and a leopard claw, but I'm giving them some exoprotein. How about that? Exoprotein is that, protein that we talk about on here all the time, which is, it's nutrient dense protein bars that are made with cricket protein. How about that? They're like the most delicious protein bars. They, 3-star Michelin chef created them. And, just rather than whey, they use cricket protein, and the rest of the world is using cricket. So why not us now? They're paleo. They taste amazing. It'll be one of the best tasting protein bars you've ever had in your life. And, they're sustainable too. It's a lot better for the environment than the cows, because the cows fart and the methane's fucking everything up, and we're all going to die. So, let's see who is my pick. Who is my pick this week? I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Let's see. Here's what I do. I find the person that gave the most amount. That's not true. I don't do that. So you can donate $3 or $5 is the minimum, though. You donate $5 and you get one. Here you go. Anthony De La Torre. I hope I said your name right, Anthony. Anthony De La Torre. You just became our Patreon winner. How about that? You got yourself a Myopux, a leopard claw, and some exoprotein. This box just keeps getting bigger. It's worth the $5. The show's worth $5, let alone all the swag you get. How about that? Trying to work out a deal with Theragun too, because I'm trying to get a discount code for you guys. I just did an episode with Dr. Jason Worsland, and I really want to get you guys a discount code because I think everybody should have one of these. It's a life changer. We do have something cool going on. I've said it 1,000 times, but I will do the open, but only in the over 60 women's division, scaled, of course, and I'm going to try to win it. Cause that's how I see myself. So they're going to have to challenge that. But I'm going to do it in my WODcast leggings from For Athletics. And I want you guys I'm only doing this if 10 of you buy these leggings. 10 people have to buy the leggings. Go to our Facebook, or our Instagram, and there's the click through. If you click through, you can buy these. You can order as many for your gym. That'd be great. I come to your gym and you're all wearing them. It's great. These are amazing leggings, and if 10 people buy them, that's all that has to happen. 10, and they're like $40 a pair. They're like awesome, like yoga pants. You put them on, you wear them, you show me, you got them, and For Athletics will tell me 10 of them, 10 pairs, and I will then record all of my workouts and post them to the Facebook and Instagram. Fuck. I can't believe I'm going to do this. All right. So again, I'm at Laugh Boston this week, and then I'm at the Adelaide Fringe Festival for a month. I'll be working out at CrossFit MobilityWOD with James Newberry, who I believe just did pretty well at the Cape Town. I want to congratulate Sean Sweeney. How about Sean Sweeney, guys? Just won the Cape Town competition. He was a former guest of the WODcast podcast. Just had him on about 6 weeks ago. Fun dude, fun to hang out with. I got other dates coming up in Launceston, Sydney, Australia, Edmonton, Canada, Las Vegas, Nevada, St. Louis. Coming to St. Louis. I'm coming, big date in May the 19th. Get your tickets to the Comedy Store in Hollywood. Those shows sell out. I'll be in Calgary. They're sending me all over the place. New Jersey, New York, Dallas, Chicago. I will be in one of your towns, Boise, Idaho, Omaha, Nebraska. I'm coming everywhere. So find your tickets at eddyiff.com. I'll come work out in your gym. You guys can come out to the show. We go out for some healthy meals. You know, we just fucking health it up. All right. So, thanks for listening. Enjoy this episode with the man, the myth, the legend, Kelly Starrett. Welcome to the WODcast podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Ifft. I am in San Rafael. Did I say it right?
I think that's good. I think that's you give it the
San Rafael.
Paso Robles.
I am up here in the Marin County I'm up by San Francisco. I'm doing shows actually down in the South Bay in Sunnyvale at Rooster Teeth Feathers, and I was like, who's in San Fran that I want to talk to?
Who's not in San Francisco, but San Francisco.
I contacted everyone I know. None of them could do it. So I ended up with you all know him. You're a YouTube sensation. You're one of those guys. Kelly Starrett, ladies and gentlemen, from MobilityWOD. I'm at his brand new. Is this brand new?
No.
How long?
I don't know, a couple years.
Couple-year studio. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's such a cool studio. It's so. I don't mean this in a bad way. I mean this in a good way. It's so faggy. Like it's very like artsy fartsy. Like you
can lift heavy weights and still like nice things.
It's so nice.
I know. But we one of our staff members, Lisa, is our producer on our little podcast. But Lisa,
what is your little podcast called?
It's called The Ready State.
The Ready State.
We take on concepts, but I got to go one. That'll be perfect for the show. The next season, we did kids, we've done pain, we've talked about some other things. But Lisa is the director of quality.
Okay,
that's literally part of her title. Director of quality.
That's a great name.
And she's like, hey, I don't like the way that looks or that cord. Or I went through the website and I found that you had the wrong color on this page. Like her brain. I'm like, we have a website?
I need people like that in my life. He's got a fire in front of us. It's a little portable gas. What did you pour in there? Ethanol. Great.
Ties the room together.
And we've got just a little fire going in front of us.
Happy Friday.
Let me give the setting. He's got a studio there's all the lighting. He's got the Rogue rigs where I don't see all the bands that you hook up to them. You're a big band man.
I'm not sure what that means.
I wonder how much stuff that I've learned from you. I have so much to talk to you about. But let me finish the studio. So he's got this, it's like a part photography studio,
Yeah.
part gym, and I guess you shoot all the videos here.
We do.
And you've gone to like, you're behind a paywall now. I can't steal your shit anymore.
Let's see. When did we do it? 5 years ago?
Yeah.
So if we're going to open up this can of worms, it turns out it was only costing us like $45,000 a year to give out free content. And people got so pissed. And I was like, I'm sorry, but at some point I shouldn't lose money. And we still have I think there's only 700 videos on the YouTube, and we really do we have put out so much content, and you can even peep so much of that on Insta. But what we realized is that in order for us to hire the people we needed to be able to do the better things, you actually have to pay for good content.
Sure.
And I'd like to retire someday.
Yeah. I have the same exact experience going on in my life.
Yeah. As an artist, I mean, honestly, this is really interesting because, you pay for the New York Times, you pay for the Daily Mail, in the UK. And I think it's okay to pay for great content. That's totally okay. I feel like it's a little bit shocking. Like, the thing you need to do, though, is if you take on that mantle of responsibilities, you have to over-deliver. You have to give people so much.
That's where I'm not doing. Nobody's ever said over-deliver beside Eddie Ift. Those two things have never been in the same sentence. But I agree with you. There was a book called All for Free, I think it was, by the guy that wrote The Longer Tail. I've talked about this before. It could be Chris Anderson, if I'm remembering correctly. And his whole concept was give them a bunch of stuff for free, then, find your niche and kind of make the money off of that. But it was hard because when you switch, once you're giving them everything for free, they want everything for free.
Only people who are new to the game. Everyone else is willing to, there's no extraordinary content. I mean, do you work for free? I mean, not you do basically work for free. But if I ask them, I'm like, would you go to work for free? This is my full-time job.
Right.
My wife's full-time job. We have a staff of 7 plus all the instructors plus if you're listening out there, we'll take a corporate sponsorship and we'll turn the whole thing into the wild.
Yeah.
So when you're ready to be like, we're going to make the world a better place through Kelly, I'm here, find me, and we'll turn the whole thing wild. We'll sign a 5-year contract. We'll put your name on it. I will tattoo your name on my body. I'm
the same way right now. I'm selling
MobilityWOD by Audi.
I gave my kid away. I was out the other day with,
you can make another one.
With the guys from skis.com, and they're like, hey, we saw the videos of your daughter skiing. She's really little. She's like 4, and I already have her, up, and she's skiing well for a 4-year-old. They go, oh, those videos are great. We want to sponsor her. And I went, what do you mean? They're like, we'll make her an ambassador. We'll give you all free shit for it. Done. Where do what? And I always said I'll never put my kid on anything. And then I went to buy ski equipment and I was like, oh yeah, how many Instagram photos do you need? How many? I'll give you anything you need. So I get it. The corporate sponsorship. Yes. What you've done, like every injury I've ever had, you're my for sickness. Chris Kresser is my go-to guy.
Yeah, for sure.
For injury, you're my go-to guy.
Wow.
And it's, how am I going to fix this? I know you know what you're talking about. I know. And there are times I go to I hope he never listens to this, but my physical therapist down in LA, I'll go to him and he'll start saying something. And I'm like, I got to get out of here and just go watch a video of Kelly's.
Well, I think this is where we are. And this is maybe a greater conversation about the internet, is that, there's two things. The depth of expertise is a problem.
Yep.
Everyone is an expert.
Yeah.
And I just saw yesterday some cow arguing with one of my friends, Stuart McMillan, who is the CEO of Altus and has more Olympic medals and world champion medals as a coach than anyone I know. Maybe Dan Pfaff more, but he is literally one of the greatest speed coaches on the planet.
For sprinting?
For sprinting, for throws, he can do it all. Mm-hmm. He is bobsleigh. I don't know how many medals he's been. But this guy, and I'm like, well, who is this guy like taking on Stu? And I was like, oh, you have 8 followers, and I can't tell what you do, and you're not transparent, mm-hmm. and there's no context. And you may know more, but we need to know that. And I think that's one of the the things about the internet is it's twofold. One is that we have a chance to level everyone up. Like the fact that you aren't, bumbling blindly into your person and saying, "Hey, I don't know what's wrong with me. Fix me." So, I wrecked my car. I don't know why. Here, fix it. We've really seen a tremendous increase in people's awareness. And I have this conversation with Juliet all the time. I'm like, I think people are smarter than everyone gives people credit for. They will do what works. They will not do what doesn't work. And we should always talk up to people. And then Juliet's like, I think you're really nice.
Bill Hicks said that in comedy. He said, always play to the back of the room. And back of the room's where the comics are and the smarter people, the club staff and everything. And he said, always play to the back of the room. Don't dumb it down for the people in the front. Make the people in the front rise to the people to the back.
And you can layer into that the fact that you can always be talking up, but at the other hand, you can make it clear so that you're not misunderstood.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't have to use jargon or obfuscate things, right? Mm-hmm. I don't have to hide, but I can be very clear. But I believe that there's a lot of things that people can understand about how their bodies work, and it's disruptive, and you're going to have to up your game if you're a therapist because everyone's a little bit more sophisticated, and there's a lot of things that we want to complicate overly so, which are simple. These are like being a human being is messy. Erwan LaCour's new book just came out. He's the Move Nat. Hey, natural movement. We need to play. We need to climb. We need to crawl. And what I would say is some of that stuff looks like if I had to design a movement practice for the modern person, like do this 10 or 15 minutes a day, that would be yoga, modern yoga.
Right.
Like if Pilates did this is what he would have thought of. And it's, and what we're seeing is that most of us live this little bankrupt, tiny movement window life. We're like, hey, sashimi chicken breast and broccoli and white rice and high intensity elliptical, and I'm killing it. And I'm like, dude, you haven't put your arms above your head. You haven't, there's a huge hole. Sure. In fact, it's what makes me like CrossFit even more. Mm-hmm. Respecting people's time, taking joints and tissues into a diverse, you've got to have a palette of movements that express all the things that a human should do. Like if you go to a yoga class and you come to my CrossFit class, you're going to see that we did all the same movements, right? Except also you are going to breathe hard and make you stronger, and I can protect you and find all the problems.
I just took a yoga class that was like a fast yoga kind of thing. And, nobody was stopping to tell me anything, and I'm not a yoga guy. I kind of would just look out of the corner of my eyes. I didn't know the terminology of anything. I knew every single movement thanks to CrossFit. Every single pose that I got into, I'm like, I've done this in CrossFit at some time or another.
I think constantly varied in that language is, hey, what do you need to do with your bodies? Well, we need to close your ankle down. Well, that's a pistol, right? And that's part of our warm-ups. Are you competent going overhead? Can you control your trunk? In pull-ups, and do you have the basic and native language of your body? And what's amazing is that I think if you drop into some of these good practices, strong first, big fan, the kettlebell stuff. If you did all of the kettlebell work, you're going to touch all the positions and shapes required for a stable, functional human being. If you do yoga and deadlift and Soul Cycle and go to church, that's probably the same thing, right? All of those things together, right? Wrapped. I mean, that's asking a lot, but what we really have to say is let's take this 30,000-foot view and say, well, what are human beings supposed to be able to do? The number one reason people end up in nursing homes is they can't get up off the ground by themselves. And, I think what's interesting right now is I'm 45. Our family's gone through a recent health crisis. Juliet, my wife, is a 3-time world champion. She is a savage athlete, like the greatest training partner I've ever had. Status post breast cancer, right? We're clear, everything's good. And people literally have been saying to us, I can't believe Juliet. Like, she's the strongest and fittest and the healthy among us. Like, if it hit her, what chance do we have? And I was like, no. This is about, are you preparing for when this hits you? because you're going to fall, you're going to get in an accident, you're going to get old. So where do you what's your bank look like? And I think there are a lot of ways and styles to get back to that. Do you have access to your body as a human being? And you don't have to be Lance Armstrong plus Eddie Hall plus, you don't have to do all those things, but you should be useful and functional, right?
Yep. James Fitzgerald said it a few weeks ago on the show. He might have said it after the show to me. He said, "Where do you want to be when you're 90 years old?" Yeah.
How do you want to be when you're 90?
And he said, he goes, "Do you want to climb a mountain when you're 90?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." He goes, "Well, then reverse engineer from there back rather than," he goes, "some of the stuff you're doing now is going to not get you there." And he was like, "You need to think about, is this going to get me there? And do the things that are going to get you there."
And some of it's simple. You need to walk more. You're not moving enough, right? That's pretty foundational. Like the average person is supposed to walk at least 5 miles a day. 10,000 steps is enough to decongest your body. There's this idea in physio called mechanotransduction, which is a fancy term for if you want your cells to express themselves at that level, you have to load them mechanically. So you have to have inputs. You want a strong, healthy tendon when you're 90? You have to load a tendon in the way tendons need to be loaded, right? You have to move the body. Otherwise, I think we're seeing this huge pain epidemic in America right now. Back pain is the number one global disability metric disease. And there's no such thing as non-specific low back pain. That's bullshit. But what I'll tell you is, you have a bunch of people who sit, who don't move their bodies, don't get any input. And what happens to that collagen? It starts to break down. Look, we're not very far from.
When you say that, though, the back pain, are we talking? Is this a shortening of the hamstrings, or is it?
No, I'm just talking about like your tissues are just not robust. You haven't loaded them, and then all of a sudden you twist and dude, you should be able to lift in a rounded back position that flower pot over the rail and come out unharmed. And if you can't, something's wrong, right? That's not the best way to do it. It's definitely not the best way to.
But you shouldn't get hurt.
You shouldn't get hurt, and that means that when we there's If you look, people are like, "Oh, you should, brace your spine. Spine's got to be stiff." What I'll say is, hey, normal spines flex, normal spines extend. If you can't do either, you're not normal. If your knee doesn't flex all the way down, you can't kneel. That's not a normal knee. Then we can ask the next question: what do I need to do? And it's not work harder, right? It's not get into Soul Cycle.
Right.
I mean, we have gone off the rails. So, there's the marine world is not far from here, where they used to have Tilikum, that killer whale that killed all those people.
Yeah.
Well, there's one of our friends, Katie Bowman, has this idea that she's like, look, you put that killer whale into captivity, eventually the fin starts to fold over, right? And it's called folded fin syndrome, which is nicer than floppy fin syndrome for all the reasons. But she's like, look, 2 reasons. One, you put that killer whale and you change its environment. So all of a sudden it's spending time at the surface, way more time at the surface than it ever did before. And that fin is always being exposed to this gravitational load. So it's always trying to be folded instead of kind of swimming, right? Second, because that fin isn't being constantly loaded like an orca, like it's the most savage hunting machine there is. It hunts, it fights, it does all its orca business, so that fin becomes weak. So you change the environment and you don't load it, and now you have a human spine. And that's where we are right now. So what we can begin to ask the question is, well, what is a good way? There are lots of ways to develop this functional capacity and ability that respects your native intelligence and ability. What do you mean you can't get up off the ground when you're 50? You know? Yeah. I go into these rooms with people and I'm like, all right, let's do a foot together squat. And people are like, my feet on the ground? No way. I'm like, dude, you're 35. Good luck. And that's not anyone's fault. We are all products of a system.
Yeah.
The system says, drive your car, sit in this couch, right?
Well, we're constantly as a society trying to make life easier.
Yes.
The goal is to make life easier, but I'm worried that we were driving over here and my daughter wanted to watch the screen. She's like, "Can I watch your phone, mommy?" And I said, No, you can't. You're in San Francisco. Look around. There's great stuff to see. And she didn't want to. She threw a tantrum. And I was like, this is what's happening. And then I said, look, there's Alcatraz. And she goes, "Can you show it to me on your phone?" And I'm like, we're right there. And you want to see it. That I feel like everybody wants to almost live in a virtual world because the virtual world is just like easy, and it's just your brain connecting. Like, I feel like we're just getting to a point where our brain is in our hand, and we're just a vessel between that brain that has more
and
capacity.
we're running this big experiment that we're not sure on the other side of. And so, man, I still work in high performance. I still talk to a lot of teams. I got a bunch of teams that two of my teams are playing in the NFL last weekend. I mean, like, I get to go everywhere and see all the cool stuff. But more and more, I'm like, ooh, like, we got to spin backwards and say, what is it we're supposed to do as humans? You getting some sunlight? Yeah. Did you eat some offal? Tell me about your kidneys last night. And are you having sex? Do you have friends?
Yep.
Do you know how to chill out? Yes or no? And then we can ask the next question. And that next question is, well, what do you want to do? Like, I really like being fit. I love to ride my bike, and the fitter I am helps with my exercise ADD, et cetera, et cetera.
I think I read John Durant's The Paleo Manifesto. And when it comes to evolutionary, like us as beings, it's always, what were we for thousands of years doing? What came natural? I look at coyotes all the time that are roaming around my neighborhood, and I'm like, what are coyotes doing? You never see sick coyotes. You don't see coyotes like nursing a broken ankle. You don't see coyotes because they evolve, and they every day they hunt for their food. They find their food. They have sex. They go drink their water. They do all the natural things. When fucked up shit happens to coyotes, it's because we've interfered. We hit them with our cars, or we pollute the water, or we've done something. We're set to be natural, and the more natural stuff we do, every time I'm reading Twitter and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I reading this? And then I'll read some horrible news story about something. I go, I'm going to the woods. I'm a day closer to moving so far out into Montana where I'm going to hunt my own food. I'm going to swim.
But that's been done. That's the monk going in, retreating in the internal life. You got to go be the bodhisattva and get your ass out of the fucking woods and work your way back into saying, hey, we can improve the ball because we can't leave a generation of people behind.
I'm not ready for that. I got to go monk it out.
The mistake has been that, like, we somehow romanticize Paleolithicness. And the key here is, what makes human beings special? We walk, we can carry things, we can throw things, we can get up and down off the ground. What people don't realize is you just got to eat Whole Foods again. Right? Rainbow. Mm-hmm. Here's something that would change your life. Spend 20 or 30 minutes.
We also developed porn, which is pretty phenomenal.
Well, that's because we have thumbs. Sit on the ground, and that, we should talk about porn. It's hijacking another, it's just another addiction.
Yeah,
it's addiction.
It's a total addiction.
But if you just sat on the ground while you watch porn, that would be a change in how things work.
Who says I don't?
If you sat on the ground 20 or 30 minutes a day,
position.
That already would change your hip function, change your back function.
So funny. You just said that to me. Sit on the ground, and I thought to myself, oh, that would hurt. Like, like, I play with my daughter on the ground, and I have to sit with her on the ground, and I'm always like, oh, yeah. Like, I've gotten to the point where my squat is good enough that I can stand in a squat, bottom of squat for a long, long time. But just sitting on the ground, like, my groin, I used to do hurdler stretches all the time because I ran hurdles. I can't get my groin to that. Like, I work on my flexibility stuff. I'm like, is this ever going to go back? Can I ever get that?
It's too late for you, but not for the next generation.
I want to be a hockey goalie and just fucking do a split.
The magic for this is that we have all of the tech we need in terms of improving the ball on humans. We've totally got it. We just have to figure out how to fucking make it more simple so people can live their lives and they're not checking a bunch of boxes and following a bunch of fads. Mm-hmm. And, like, I mean, how reasonable, like, eat less carbohydrate. Whoa. That's crazy, Tom. Easy, right? Eat more whole foods. Did you walk today? Tell me about your sleep last night. Mm-hmm. Let's figure out ways where we can improve people's lives without putting a medical professional in between them. Back to our point about the internet, right? There's got to be another step between the squat rack or the Pilates studio or the cycle bar and the doctor. There is another step in between. And it's not the physical therapist. You go see a physical therapist when you're injured, but that's not most of us. Most of us are walking around with some kind of pain we don't talk about. We just keep going on. So how do we then think differently about the entire environment? What about your kids? Isn't that important? So what should their gym look like? It should look like a MoveNat studio where there's places to climb and jump and crawl, and what should kids be sitting 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day? No, I think what we can do is reconceptualize our environment so we don't have to make another choice.
I take my little Izzy to a place about once a week. It's called Dojo Boom, and it's a trampoline park, ninja studio, ninja warrior place, foam pits and climbing walls and all that. And she just has a blast. So we threw her birthday party there this last week. And I watched 15 kids run around screaming at the top of their lungs, doing completely athletic things that I don't think they ever do. And I was watching them do stuff that just the movement, and I was like, they should be here every day.
That's right.
Every day.
So how do we, I think that's really the case, is that kids are looking for input. We're now getting kids who don't get any of this sensory motor input. They're just not getting the input they need.
I'm sorry, watching her because I did first 2 years, no screens. Now I see her, the addiction's on. She's got it. Right. She will fight for it. She will. If I put a switchblade in my daughter's hand and I took that phone away from her, I'd be dead right now. I think the 4-year-old would have stabbed me. I'm not joking. Like, she loses it. And I read Lustig's book about hacking the American brain, and I really believe that there's just so much dopamine being released when you're playing on these things that it is just a total addiction. And I'm disgusted when I look at my phone and it tells me how many hours I was on it.
Juliet and I have we have recently we know that look, these things are, it's not an accident that sugar, porn, and media like internet, I mean, it's all serotonin based. It's biochemical. Like, this is alcoholism, this is drug addiction. It's the same mechanism. So I mean, like, substitute whatever you're like, I don't do heroin, I just am on my phone all the time. When an average person is on 4.5 hours a day on their smartphone, touches it 300 times a day. So we put a 30-minute cap on our social media. That's it. You get 30 minutes a day. And I know you can override it, but just go ahead and just check that. Just try that. Like, do you really, like, I'm on, we have to be on, we don't have to be, but we choose to be on social media for our business. But 30 minutes is all I need. But do we need it for our, here's the thing that I say. Right. I totally agree. Thank you. The Instagram founders don't use Instagram.
It's, I tried to go a month without it. I lost it about 13 days in. I was like, no, I was back on Instagram. I don't enjoy Instagram. I don't get any joy out of it. I do it for work reasons, but when I'm scrolling, I'm getting to see all the things I like. I like skiing. I like snowboard. I like surfing. I like CrossFit. I like all the things I like, yet it's making me unhappy. Why? Because wherever I am at that point, it's because I'm somewhere where I can't be doing what I want to do. I'm like standing in a department store where my wife tries on clothes, or I'm, waiting in line at the bank. I can't be surfing right then. So that's just going to make me unhappy that I can't. There's no joy of watching someone else catch this big.
The other thing is that we feel like we should be entertained 24/7. Like, so here's an experiment. If you're listening, stand in a bank line, staying in a line, and watch how many people can just stand in a line now. No one can. If you have 1 second, you're like, someone look in the car, everyone's like, oh, I'm in a car. And so we are literally occupied 24/7.
Do you know what you never hear anymore? You never hear this sentence. I'm bored.
No.
Because
you hear that once you take the phone away from you.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing to do.
I hear it from my daughter. Dad, I'm bored. But adults don't get bored because it's like, hey, you're going to have to do something where you're going to be trapped in your own mind right now. And you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to get on my phone and do something. I'm going to do work. I'm going to play a game. I'm going to watch a video. I'm going to scroll social media, and boredom is gone. And boredom is where you become creative.
Yeah. You have to free associate. You have to be down. You have to kind of wander.
I write 50% less jokes now
Isn't that amazing?
Because of social media and because of all this stuff. I'm constantly looking for the next thing rather than going, just be good at what you do. Hey guys, I hate to interrupt this captivating episode, but I want to talk to you about 4 Athletics. 4 Athletics is 100% USA made premium leggings. How about that? They make leggings like Lululemon or Beyond Yoga. You know what I'm talking about. Yoga pants. Kind we all love to see. They look great on women. Men can wear them too. I'm going to be wearing them. Well, 4 Athletics, what they're doing, they're into co-branding. That's right. They are coming to you, or you come to them. Go to their site, get yourself a pair of their all-time best-selling legging, the Rise Up High Waist 7/8 Omni legging. That's the Rise Up High Waist 7/8 Omni legging. And what they do is they're going to put your logo on your leggings. So whatever your gym is, whatever your team is, it's a great way to go to competition. A lot of guys wear these things under shorts. Make sure you get your leggings then down on the shin. You can put it on the hip. You can put it wherever you want. And they'll do it for you. You know, it's a one-stop shop. You talk to them, you go on their site. They got a really easy site to create what you want. They'll send you, they did it with us with the WODcast ones, that if 10 of you buy, I'll be doing the workout in them. They have in-house printers. They print the leggings for you. They fulfill all the orders, do the shipping, everything. And so if you have a whole gym full of people that want them, great. They'll do it for you. If you've got 5 people that want them, great. That's all you got to do. They start at the low price of $40 per legging. It doesn't matter if you want to buy 5 or 500. They can do it. And they have a co-branding platform that's designed for the small gym owner. So they're there to help you. Like if you don't have to shell out any money. You just walk around your gym. Who wants some? Who wants some? Once you get like 20 of them, boom, you just go to them. Hey, we need 20 pairs of these. And they'll send you them, and you guys just have your members pay for them, and then it's not money out of your pocket. It's a good way to make money for your gym. You can set the price however you want, and I'm telling you, they're amazing. So check them out at forathletics.com. Go to the co-branding page. Make sure you look at the WODcast ones and get those. That's hilarious. They have WODcast leggings, and get yourself some. That's FOUR athletics.com. Did you get that? FOUR athletics.com. FOUR athletics.com.
We have a rule in our house. There's no phones in the bedroom. There's no tech in bedroom. No TVs, no iPads, nothing like that. You just otherwise, you're doomed. And we leave all the phones in the kitchen. And there's actually a thing that one of our friends' kids found. He's at sophomore in college, and it's a lockbox, like a clear lockbox, like a Tupperware with a timer on the top. And he puts his phone in there at like 9 o'clock at night, and he doesn't unlock until he's up for an hour. And it literally, the only way in there, you can't take the battery out, you can't hack it, you have to smash the fucking plastic thing. And he's like, look, it's the only way. And I think that's what we have to do. Is
I'd have a hammer to that thing.
We have to, that's all right. That is legitimate use of that thing, a hammer. I'm like, you got to get in there. Okay, I'm going to smash this. But it's these things, it can't be an issue of will. And I think that's what we need to do around our environment, because these forces are so strong and our brains are so powerful around this, is that if I'm in a habit of showing up because I know you'll be there for my spin class or training class or karate or whatever it is, I'll be there. That's a habit. We have to constrain our world. It's called a constrained behavior, so that we don't have to make another decision. So if my phone is in the bedroom, I'm going to look at it. Why? Because I'm just a weak person, And if my phone's not in the bedroom, I'm not going to look at it. So putting your phone away, blocking it. I purposely now have to leave my phone. I leave my phone. We have one phone sometimes where we go out to dinner or something. It's in the purse. And my Juliet's like, oh, pull out your phone or something. I'm like, I can't. It's not here. And literally, it's like best defense, no be there. Yeah. Karate Kid is going to save us all.
It's amazing. I went to the Maldives on a surf trip, and my phone wasn't working in this one resort we were at. And at first I started to freak out. I'm like, what kind of fucking place is this? And I can't get, and then I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I had the greatest time, was never on the phone. I loved it. I need it for work. But other than that, it's just that go-to when I'm like, why did I just go there? I used to party a lot, and probably about 10 years ago, I slowed down a tremendous amount just because I couldn't do it. Maybe even longer, 15 years ago. I was like, I just can't keep up this lifestyle. And I realized it was probably right around the time that cell phones came in. And I just transferred an addiction.
It's so good, right?
From one to the other and thought nothing of it. But meanwhile, if you ask people close to me which one was more harmful, they'll be like, Well, you were a lot more fun when you were partying. You're not.
Where's the fun, Eddie?
You're not fun with your phone. You're just reading shit all the time, every news story, hoping you're going to get some news about Trump or something. And, and just checking Twitter all day long and Instagram. So I'm not fun. I've got an addiction. But
we're all addicted. I mean, yeah. I think, I cannot, if I bring cookies home, they're gone.
Me too.
So I just don't bring cookies home.
Yeah, me too.
Or if I buy one, I buy one.
Yeah.
And that's what I get. I'm like, I'm out of cookies. I only bought one.
If I bought 700 cookies.
You'd eat them all?
700.
I'd wake up at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I'd have 700 cookies going.
So apply that same thinking now to any aspect of your life and just say, look, the brain is such a survival mechanism. It's so rad that it's so easy to get these hooks in there around porn, around alcohol, around self-medication. Let's just call it self-medication for some of the things. Like we had a friend who was in our neighborhood was saying, "Hey, I want to lose weight." Juliet, and this is what Juliet says. Well, tell me about how you sleep. That's her first thing, right? Yeah. And she's like, "Well, I have a hard time sleeping." So Juliet said, "Well, do you have a routine before you go to sleep?" She's like, "Yeah, I drink 2 bottles of wine." And that's what it took to take the edge off. So I'm like, whoa, okay. That's how stressed out she is at work, trying to keep it together. And no one has ever said, hey, let's give you a plan so that you can actually come down and feel like a human being again. Yeah. We're starting to see this. One of the benefits of being able to go so many different places is I see a lot of people, really smart people, trying to solve the same sets of problems. There's this elite military group I get to work with, and you've heard of them. And they when they have guys who have a hard time sleeping, the first intervention is they track sleep. Right? Let's see what the damage is so we can actually see it. But the first intervention they actually put in is the guys have to walk 10,000 steps. They actually have to accumulate enough fatigue during the day that they actually get tired to go to sleep. So of all the technology, of all the things available to this unlimited funded group of men and women, walking is the first intervention to restore sleep.
Interesting.
And that's one of those thinking where like, hey, we can be really clean about this. Like, hey, are you tired enough to actually fall asleep? So, that non-exercise activity is not my CrossFit class. That's my movement practice. Pilates is my movement practice. So going to SoulCycle, that's cardiorespiratory conditioning. It really is like I've got to move more during the day first. And now you start to apply that thinking to your kids. You start to apply that thinking across to anyone. And you're like, well, we are just mucking it up. We're just not doing anything that humans are supposed to do. And we're so resilient. We're so badass that you can drink a liter of vodka a day, my dad, right? And live until you're fucking 70, until you have a brain tumor.
Yeah.
Until one day it doesn't. And that's the problem.
It's weird. All the elements of that I had in my life, like take, for example, walking. I lived in New York City. You walk everywhere. Now, whenever
choice, just it's background habit.
Right. But now I'm in these cities and I've got to walk somewhere. The other day I was at my daughter's school in Santa Monica and my wife goes, can you go down and pick up lunch? And I said, yeah. And I walked outside and I got on one of those bird scooters. And I rode down there. I
was entertained.
Rode back.
Am I not entertained?
Yeah,
Wait, what?
It was like, walking's going to be so boring. I can't be bored. I refuse to be bored. And I got on this scooter and it was pouring down rain. I'm like, it's going to make it even more dangerous,
And they are dangerous.
They are so dangerous.
They are so fast. And so, here's the takeaway is that we're making it so complex and it's not. And we've got to start playing this long game. Like, and when you start and you have kids, you're like, oh my God. I mean, we just, for our little podcast, we talked about like something we're obsessed about is how do we raise culturally, physically literate kids? Like, so that they eat right and they sleep and do all those things. And we interviewed a ton of amazing people. And one of them is this, pediatric bariatric surgeon. Mm-hmm. And he's like, dude, if you're Latino, by definition, a Latin male, your chance of being diabetic at 30 or as an adult is 2 out of 3.
Oh my God.
If you're a black woman, 2 out of 3. And that's when you and I were in school, it's 1 out of 4,000. And for our kids, it's 1 in 4 that they'll be diabetic. And here's the deal is that you're like, that doesn't mean anything because you're not diabetic and you don't know what the realities of being diabetic are. It's really hard and gnarly. And, the recovery is tough. Injuries are tough. Sensory, it really is. And it's so difficult for us to sort of combined cause and effect because the human being is so complex, and we haven't run this experiment for 70 or 80 years. And the chances, the obesity rates, like our kids of it, like they're like 60% of our youth population is doomed to be obese, no matter what. And I'm not talking about overweight. I'm talking about obese. And I think we're just going to have to think differently. So we were at a school, one of our daughters applied to high school, and we were at the local high school has this kind of environmental group thing, within a school, and the teacher was like, environmental change is the number one problem your kids are going to have to face. And Juliet and I were like, "Blah!" Like my kid is going to be like Wall-E, like wondering where she's going to take the next big gulp, as she jacks into, the future. And we're just, those disaster movies where like the fish boil in the lake and then there's an earthquake and something cracks and like there's a wave and then like the birds die. That's us as humans. We're just ignoring all and like, hey, let's go for a picnic on the mountain. Literally that's who it is.
I feel like that's happening. And, I've been having these arguments lately with people where I said, I feel like I'm one of those people walking around with zombies right now. And I'm like,
oh, you were in Costco.
And I'm like, don't you guys see, like, does no one see what's going on right now? Do you not understand this? Like, this shouldn't
it's biological de-evolution. I think literally Devo nailed it when they came up with that term, de-evolution. But this is what I think. It's dis-evolution, de-evolution. We're unspinning the tenets that make human beings. So Sebastian Junger writes his book Tribe, right? Really looking at the loss of community as one of the primal reasons for PTSD and sort of the dissociation that happens after combat. And look at the loss of community. Where are people's communities? We're behind a door. We're on social. Just as you're saying, I feel miserable. And we are tribal people. Where's your community? You go to church, yes or no? Okay, if you don't go to church, you don't have a community once a week, where do you go? Who's your community? Where's your network? And it's not my friends. I have a lot of good friends, but they live a lot of other places. Yep. So where do you find that again? And that fellowship, that community. Like I have this pet theory that football exists in America today only because it was the only time in a lot of men's lives where they were in a tribe. From 14 to 18, they existed in a tribe, and they were like, holy crap, that was the most important time of my life. And people will talk about, I played football in high school. I was like, oh, you're bragging, 15, you were really good. And that feeling of nostalgia and belonging is so
But there still
powerful.
Is the tribalism, too, when they become a fan of a team. And everybody goes to the tailgate party, and everybody goes to the bar where they watch the game together.
I have real complicated feelings about pro sports. Like, we have fetishized pro sports, which means we fetishize and commoditize, commercialize collegiate sports, which are professional sports. Yeah. And then guess what happens? It comes right down to high school.
It's happening
now it's right down to middle school with all this club travel, crazy shit. And so I have this real, like, it should not be aspiration. It's crazy. It should not be aspirational.
Shit is...
Your kids, your only goal as a parent is to hopefully your kids are capable enough that they can be on a high school team. That should be the last goal you have.
The problem is you have that kid that it might show a little bit of extra talent, and you go, and the internet comes in play, and you go, whoa, I see these guys doing this, where they took their kid, sent them away to this special program, and they have this and they have that.
They're some of the most dysfunctional human beings because they come out of their tribe, they have no skills, they have no social skills, they don't know how to work, they can't belong to a group because you took their whole group and self-identity for the last decade away. All the Olympians, the amount of depression from the amount of Olympians who like come out of that Olympic experience and are taken away. We have so many Division I college athletes at our gym who are like, season ended and I was at Stanford and that was it. They were like, goodbye. You don't have access to the weight room. You don't have your club team. Good luck. And they're like, we auger in. And so we had this conversation, and I probably mentioned this before. So if someone's heard this, I apologize, but I get to watch a lot of crazy parents now around their kids in sports. It's like a sport of a sport, right? And this guy was telling me about his daughter's the best, and I was like, she's 13 or 12, and like, yeah, she's tall and skinny, but she's not the best. I was like, have you ever seen a unicorn? And they were like, what are you talking about? Unicorns don't exist. I was like, oh, they exist. They're like, well, I've never seen one. I was like, but if you saw one, you would know what it looked like, right? You would be able to say unicorn. So we're at this huge tournament, and there are these two African American girls from Texas who are 6 feet tall, age 12, huge, big, powerful asses, and they are crushing these little lily white girls from Marin. Just grrr! And I'm standing next to the parents.
What sport is this?
Volleyball.
Yeah.
I'm like, anyone see any unicorns around here? And the parents were like, oh, is this what you meant? I was like, yeah. Which girls are going to play Division I? And they were like, oh. And I was like, isn't it so obvious? And that's the problem. As we talked earlier on the internet, has got everyone up. Like, everyone's an expert. Everyone's rad. Everyone's sick. And that's not the case. The kids who are so good they're going to play in college will self-identify. Relax. They are so good that it will be obvious that kid should go on if they choose.
Yeah.
The rest of it should be about, I know how to show up and be on time on a team. I love working hard. I have fucking fun. And it is nutso out there around sports.
Buddy Morris was just saying it on the episode I recorded. He was talking about the best thing you can do for your kid for sports to be a good athlete is to put him in as many sports as possible. He's like, all these parents think my kid's going to be a football player. I'm going to put him he's going to be in a spring program. He's going to be play fall ball. Then the winter we're going to do strength training and speed training for football. He goes, no, basketball, baseball. Let him play as many sports.
Okay, so Buddy's right. Multi-sport players are competent because you learn other skills and you change patterns. But the old model was play more sports. Mm-hmm. That's you and me. And we're starting to see now how many kids who came out of that era, or having knee replacements, back problems, shoulder issues, right?
From multi-sports?
Well, because we didn't have enough formal movement training. No one was like, this is what Olympic lifting is. Here are the tennis and gymnastics, right? Here's better movement. We just play. Right? The environment will take care of it. Ish. Now, if kids did that, they are so poorly prepared that we're having to go back and teach all of these remedial skills. So just play isn't enough anymore. It's definitely better than the specialization craziness.
Right.
But now we're actually having to go remedially in. And
so what would you say for someone like, for me, young kid, what do you put, like?
Gymnastics.
Okay, do that.
Dance.
Yep.
CrossFit, right? Parkour, Ninja Warrior, play.
Swimming.
Great. I feel like we have this conversation of like what it makes good kids, and I think we got to have a sliding sport, right? If you can't take input, skateboard, bike, ski, snowboard, surf, like one of those things, all those kids I know, they're all ninjas. They're the best.
Yeah.
My best athlete friends are really good at that stuff.
Yeah.
How and really, if we come back to it, what are we trying to do here? Create a perfect piece of software that operates for 2 years at this high level? Like, is this about getting your family out of the ghetto? Okay, this is a different conversation.
Sure.
If this is your way out, I get it. Let's put all our money in this basket. But for everyone else, that is not the game. So my feeling around this is, hey, what are we trying to do? You're going to be 100 years old. Have you fallen in love with Yuval Harari yet? Read *Sapiens*?
No.
The most important thinker in the last 10 years, Yuval Harari. He wrote *Sapiens*, *Homo Deus*. Like, when you read this, you're going to be like, oh, we're pretty much doomed. The robots are going to kill us, and we're going to de-evolve. And
I've already felt that.
He's right. He's like, we're all going to be 100 years old. We have his pointing in his second book, as he points out that, look, we've solved a lot of the big problems around being humans. War now is pretty much a choice, right? This is not people coming over the hill to take my goats. That's not what this is anymore. It's geopolitical things, right? It's complex. I'm not trying to simplify war, but it's not an issue of resources necessarily, right? He's like, disease, someone got fired because we didn't manage the last Ebola outbreak as well as we could have, right? Meanwhile, in World War I, the Spanish flu killed more people than World War I. We don't have that sort of global pandemic thing anymore. And starvation, is his point, is that like that's largely a conversational choice. It's a choice. Like, we have enough food on the planet to feed everyone. We just don't get it there or choose to get it there, right? Straight up. So he's like, yes, we're screwing people because we're making these really shitty choices, but those are the things that wiped us out. Now it's an issue of the pursuit of happiness. Well, I'm not happy. I'm not entertained. But the medicine is good. We can get enough calories in you, right? The chances especially if you live in a Western country of like being attacked by Red Dawn and the Russians are low, we're lower. And now, the idea is like, you're going to be 100 years old. That's probably the chance. So what does that look like between now and then? And I don't think, especially Instagram, especially Twitter, it's so instantaneous. It's so now. It doesn't have any context, that it's really difficult for us to project our psyches and our thinking into the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. I think you have a kid, you're living this reality a little bit more because you're like, oh my God, it's coming, right? Yeah. But the rest of us, once that immediate reality is gone, it's hard for us to think, what's the impact of this decision of not walking?
Well, this is, I mean, for the comedy business, it's somewhat important to be on YouTube and all these things. That's where you build your following. Podcasts, you build your following to come see you live, where ultimately that's where you want to be. Television, when I started, it was like, oh, you want to be on TV, you want to be on TV. And then it went to you want to be big on the internet. But even TV, I had heard of these guys. I remember Eddie Izzard, hearing about him when I lived in London, never wanted to be on TV. Like his
cake with death. His
thing was live performance. I'm like a theatrical performer. And when I went over to England to live, they were like, hey, aren't you, I would ask them, how do I get more? I was like so capitalist. I want to be bigger and on more TV shows. And
you were an expression of the system. That was the normal output.
It came from being part of America and capitalism. And they said, you're making a good living. You perform every night doing what you love. Why do you want more? And they said, you get on TV so that you can perform live and people come see it. Well, they're coming, so you don't need to go on TV. And it helped me a little bit, and I'm sort of going back there now where I'm like, my favorite thing is to perform live.
So the magic is getting people in a room, because people are what's most important, and you have a shared experience. So why is professional sports important? Because everyone for a moment belongs together.
Sure.
Right? That black guy, that white guy, we are Niners fans.
Yeah. The purpose.
Right? Go to music, it's more important than ever. Comedy is more important than ever. But being able to laugh, to be vulnerable, and do that as a shared experience, that's what's missing. And the problem, I think, the internet confuses us a little bit, because I can have, why would I go? Even, I think Obama was talking about, someone like Stevie Wonder, Bruce Springsteen was at the White House, Paul McCartney, and it said to his daughter, you should come down. Or Michelle Obama was like, come down, Paul McCartney's in the White House. And she's like, eh. I can watch it on the internet, and I think if it's that powerful, we just have to continue to remind ourselves to have this fellowship, to be together, and to come up with excuses to go watch humans be rad in front of us.
Yeah, but every once in a while you're hanging out with a group of people and you're sitting there going, I want to kill all of you. How do I get out of here? Well, and your phone is your escape.
You're fine. It's a tool at the time, right? Being out of your mind, stoned, drunk, wasted on your phone. It's all good.
Yeah. When my phone goes below 10% and I'm at a party, I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of here. I'm going to have to talk to these people.
You start twitching a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I think the really interesting conversations we're having now is Whole Foods, you can go get good food anywhere. Yeah.
Not anywhere. It's hard. I travel.
You do travel.
Every city I'm in, first thing I do, I'm like, where's the Whole Foods so I can go get what I know will be a guaranteed normal meal. And then sometimes they don't have one, and I'm like, oh, fuck. What am I going to do?
How about this? You can drop into any gym on the planet. I can go anywhere, and there's a CrossFit gym, for example.
That's
where people know you. They aren't going to judge your weird socks and style.
And then you say this to them: where can I get good food around here?
Boom.
And so it is this bit of a, people say it's a cult or a religion. It's like, yeah, but it's good. You're helping my life. When I'm able to find good food, I'm finding people that, are thinking the same way.
And that can be in yoga, that can be any, but that group shared kind of consciousness, ethos, pathos is we need a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. We need neutral territory. We have a couple coaches who we have to say, shut the fuck up about politics at our gym.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to talk. If you say that again, you're canned. Because this is the place where people need to be able to come and just relate to people.
Yeah.
I can still deadlift next to you, even though you're a sociopath.
Yeah.
But we share this experience, and I see you, and if we're supposed to have, I connected the dots. So many people have talked about this, where you basically have 150 people in your brain all the time, right? That's how your brain is wired. My tribe is 150. Right. The natural splitting group of groups is like 150, right? And this notion that that's why when you see someone on the internet a lot or TV, you have this reaction. Like, imagine being Brad Pitt. People see you and you're like, I know you. You're Brad Pitt because I think you're in my clan and tribe. I have this emotional reaction to you. And I think it's getting worse because we actually don't have 150 people we see all the time.
No, not even close.
Not even close. Versus, like, these are the people that I know. That know me.
I tried to do that on my Facebook page. I had a Facebook fan page where anyone could be part of. And then I tried to have my own page where I kept it. I was going to try to keep it at 100. And I was like, if I've spoken to this person in the last year, then they can stay on. Otherwise, I'm just going to limit it to 100 so that it's like my real friends, We're
laughing because this is me. My Facebook is Bryn Blaine. Like, I only have, like, Bryn only has like 30 or 40 friends.
Yeah, well,
I'm so lame. I have, like, people are like, wow, you don't have many friends. I'm like, nope.
No. But what happened was then people started finding out, and I even had it, I had it under my name, but I had a different picture, just of my dog. And I thought, this is how I'm going to do it. Boom. Now it's up to like.
It's your alias's alias.
Yeah, it's up to thousands. And I was like, I couldn't say no to people. I felt bad rejecting people, not letting them in. And forever I would say, hey, this is not my page. Go to this page. But after a while, I just fucking gave in. And I'm like, this is the problem. Like, I'm connecting to way too many people.
We are really susceptible to programming, sunlight, movement. You know, the algorithm showing me bias confirmation about the things I like to, literally, I think if you drop into my Instagram feed, you're like, he's a maniac. It's like every Olympic lifter, every elite athlete, all the skiing, all the surfing. Like, it's exactly plus, like, apparently I only eat like hamburgers without buns and I drink vodka, right? Stuff like that. And I think it's really interesting that, like, and what I go in and I'm like, what does Instagram want to show me? And it's like, it knows me. It's like Spotify, but creepy. Like, it's creepy. So with that idea, first step is admitting the problem. I am easily programmed, right? But at any point I can unprogram myself and cut the cord. So, I've said this a few times to some good friends who are strength and conditioning coaches and fitness. We'll call them luminaries. I'm like, look, if we don't get it right this time, shame on us. Fuck us. Like, we have all the tools. Secondarily, I give everyone a D-. That's what you get, a D-. You know why you get a D? Because you showed up and your name is on the paper. Like, you're trying. But if you're still battling me for, like, your esoteric idea or you're trying to throw shade, meanwhile, you haven't helped anyone.
Right.
We are just like, it's just this all high level bullshit.
Oh, a world of critics. And
who's got it's Hunger Games and, like, you've got the crazy new hairstyle and I'm like, fuck him for his crazy new hairstyle. Meanwhile,
everybody's opinion matters. I just had Dr. Drew on a few weeks ago and we talked a lot about narcissism and addiction. And he was saying that we're living in this narcissistic. He wrote a book about it, The Mirror Effect, about the narcissistic culture that we're living in, and the fact that I read once somewhere that's why people on Facebook, it's like you are famous. It's like your own TV station and your own world, and people are seeing it, and we're creating more and more and more narcissism. And he said it's getting to a point of like a pandemic that we have this.
You can say pandemic. I think that's absolutely correct.
And we're all. No one's immune to it. Everybody has it. And I see it with people. And I remember when I first started, I saw it first with comedians. And, when social media blew up and every comedian was out there going, it started with MySpace. All of a sudden you had a fan base from MySpace that you never had. And it was, cause we'd go on TV and you'd get a couple emails. Hey man, I think you're funny, or I'm buying your CD or whatever. And then all of a sudden you're on MySpace. You're hilarious. Where can I get more of you?
Feels good.
And it felt great. It was amazing.
And something you've been working for, right?
And then, so I got to go through it with comedy. Then I watched all the CrossFitters go through it. And comedians were people that seeked out attention and seeked out fame. That's what they wanted to do their whole life. They came from this insecure background of, I need to be a performer. I want to be loved. I want everybody to, I said they should take down the Hollywood sign and put up a sign that say, Daddy didn't love me. That's what the whole town is. It's just a town full of people that had shitty upbringings and need love. Well, then I watched the whole CrossFit revolution and all these Facebook, Instagram, look at me lift weights, look at me do pistol, look at me do pull-ups, look at me. And then it started going more and more advanced. Look at me do it 1,000 times. Look at how elite I am. And I thought to myself, oh, wait, this is just a different group of insecure people. Yeah. These are people that went to the gym because they were insecure and socially maybe weren't the most social people, so they were gym rats, and all of a sudden they developed this fame. And then I thought, okay, so that's understandable. But then I started seeing it bleed into like children and like my parent, and people say things like, oh, I put this up and I got 72 likes. And I would go, why are you talking about this? Why is that important to you? Do you have a business? Do you have a career that no. And people saying to me, oh, I'm just creating this Instagram to try to get followers. Why? And they would go, I don't know. It just, and I went,
I know.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's really weird.
Was it RoboCop 4 where that drug you take and like the crazy monster guy is like, and like this face? I mean, that drug is the drug. And so let's see what it is. Oh, but man, it feels good to have that serotonin dump.
I've asked all the guys that work at my podcast, and there's a lot of young guys that work there, and I'd go, rich and famous or rich and privileged? Which one do you want? And everybody from my generation that's been through it a long time, they'll go, oh, rich and privileged. You know, I don't want to be fucking famous. That's horrible. Every single one of them, rich and famous. And I said, okay, rich or famous. You only get one. You can be famous. You won't have any money, or you can be rich. Fame. They all chose fame. The younger generation, every single one of them, and it was a small group. It's probably not a good sample size, but of like 10 guys, fame, over being rich. And I found that really weird and possibly part of this social media generation, that it's like, that's like the pinnacle.
So what do you do with that? I think that's a true statement. I think it varies up and down. But very true.
And we got a president like that.
Well, he's product of the system. Yep. Mark Burnett, New Yorker magazine. If you haven't read that, have your mind blown. Like this is us. Just a reflection of who we are. One of the things that I think is sort of really telling. Our daughter finally gets Instagram, right? And you should see the social media contract she had to sign.
With you?
Yeah. No selfies, no duck lips. Like, if you do it, it's gone. It's banished. Like, and cause we're like, we see the truth of it, right? And if you are, like, if you do these, if you show your butt, done. Like, it's just like some things that are, and we're not, we have, I don't know, like 1 million people in our little network, right? Yeah. And, I'm like, Georgia, like you've grown up with people who know what the third world feels like when you touch it. Yeah. Like the opprobrium of the internet, like the hate, the nasty comments, like we have thick skins. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, you got to learn how to control this. And I think that's the piece, is that this tech isn't going away yet. Right? It hasn't, we haven't had the reaction. I think we're starting to see the first bleeding edge where people are like, I'm not sure that's so good. Yep. Right? And even, like I said, the Instagram founders stopped using Instagram.
How much do you love it when you meet someone and you go to them, hey, can I get follow, or, can I get your Facebook? And they go, I don't do Facebook. And you go, what? And you're like, what about Instagram? And they're like, nah, I don't do any. And you're like, who are you? How do you do this?
That's amazing.
Yeah, like I
have to lock mine up in a jar for cookies.
I've got 3 older sisters. I don't think two of the sisters are not on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Nothing.
So, it's the unintended consequence, social media is supposed to connect us, makes us feel, so the issue is, I think we're not, because we're inundated, because we live this life and we don't have time to slow down. This summer, we went down the Grand Canyon for 16 days. We kayaked and rafted and camped off the boats.
So everyone rafted, you kayaked to show them how fucking badass you are.
and I mean, I'm not saying I'm that badass, but a little bit badass. And everyone, I mean, we had Tim Ferriss on there, was our friend, some other friends who have big, and everyone just was like, the first day everyone's kind of like, ooh, Instagram. Okay. You could see, and everyone's like, it's good. This is good, right? This is good, right? Yeah. It's totally good. We're like, yeah, it's totally good, right? We're free. We're free. Day 3, everyone's like, how do you spell iPhone? So, I mean, once we turned that corner, it felt like we were putting a chain back on after 16 days.
Yeah.
Just like, ugh, like here it goes. And, I was not a fan of the Apple Watch at all. I'm just like, do we need to measure everything and tech everything? But here's the deal. If you don't pick up your phone, you don't search the web on your watch.
Yeah.
You just communicate with it again. I was like, the watch may be the way out of this thing. The Apple Watch.
Maybe.
It's
got a phone on it.
That's okay.
No, it's not, because surfing is my one place to get away from my wife.
Do I have an Apple Watch on?
No.
No, I have a watch. I have an analog watch.
I don't even wear a watch. I go surfing.
You use your phone. You're like, I know what time it is.
I go surfing and I tell my wife, I'll be home in a few hours.
That's good.
And when I'm out there, it's the best I ever feel. And I'm just like, oh, this is amazing. If I have that watch on, I know I'll have 4 calls.
You're like,
you need to
but
get
I can't,
home.
my GoPro camera is not charged. But I think what you're absolutely right. There's 2 I think important points here. One is you create a blocked environment where you don't have a choice. I don't bring my phone in the lineup because you can't. Great. So I don't have to make a choice. So we can apply that same technology to everything we do. Set yourself up so you don't have to make a choice, right? Just don't make a better decision by not having to make a decision. If you have to choose, you will choose weakness every time because you're a human being and your brain is that powerful. Second is you're out doing a sport. Not some recursive exercise elite thing that goes on the internet. You're actually going and experiencing, and we have completely lost our minds about what strength conditioning and physical culture was for. It was for us to go out and express that in the world.
Sure.
And we have totally lost our minds. And even Greg Glassman was like, whoa. Remember that the whole thing was to learn and play new sports? When's the last time you learned a new sport?
Yeah.
When's the last time you learned a new skill? It's okay for your pull-up number to go down because you went on a surf safari and you couldn't do pull-ups for 3 weeks. That's totally okay.
Yeah. I went through this phase of I have to work out every day, and then I would go out and surf, and my shoulders were so sore from, being in the gym all day that I couldn't paddle. I couldn't keep up with my worst surfing friends. And I'm like,
I'd really like to surf, but I'm too tired.
And it kept happening, and I would go, well, I know there's going to be good waves tomorrow, but I have to get to the gym. Yeah. I have to do work. I can't miss a day of the gym. And then I just finally was like, I go to the gym so I can surf. Yeah. It's starting to, I'm defeating the purpose.
It's not training.
No. And so it's funny, this podcast, it started out as a CrossFit podcast. We've always been irreverent and kind of taken the piss out of it. But it's become more of like an evolution of me or us or the sport or fitness, where what's going to make you ultimately live longer, live healthier, live stronger, live better. Not so much, how fast am I going to do Fran?
Improving your Fran makes you a better surfer. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now I'm in.
Yeah.
Right. But the recursive nature of I do this so I can get better at this, so I can, that's, and I look, there was a time in my life where that's all I had time for. I had time for 40 minutes of training. Right. Because my life was so crazy. I didn't do sports. I had babies and I was in grad school. Yeah. Or, so I appreciated that then. Right. But we've forgotten that the game is that we do these things so that you can go express that and spend that credit. Yep. And, I remember when the CrossFit Games became
That's a great phrase. Spend that credit.
Spend that credit.
Yeah, I like that.
You do your bank. Have you seen what your compounding interest is? Yeah. Like how much do you need to deadlift to go for this hike? Yep. And the games became a thing, and I remember being crushed because at the time, we're the 21st CrossFit in the world. I found that I was surfing better and biking and skiing better and doing everything better because I had this training environment that was so complete and so demanding. Mm-hmm. I had to become so skilled in so many things. And then it became a competition about my training. And I remember being like, oh, my training is ruined now. And I really appreciate the games because the games has taught us a lot about what's possible, best training, the amount of data and experience I've pulled out of this experience working with those athletes, incredible. Yeah. It really takes your eye off the point of, stand-up paddling or learning a new sport or swimming.
And here's my one issue with it. We have seen the human potential right now, or some of it, what these guys are doing, and where, like, if you look at where they were the first games to where they are now, holy shit, they've grown exponentially in what these guys are capable of. Question is,
we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Are they going to pay for it?
We don't know.
And that's where, like I was saying, I'm a 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of guy because I can't fully get into it because not that I would ever have been even a regional athlete, but that I was like, do I really want to commit to something where there's no proof of outcome? Like there's no, NFL, going to the NFL, you're going to get some serious injuries. You can, so if you pursue football, you can be fucked up for the rest of your life. You also are going to have a pretty awesome life if you make it that far, and all these things. In CrossFit, there's still this, when they're all 50, are they all going to drop dead of heart attacks? Are they going to have, knee replacements, hip replacements?
And if that's the case, then we can say that was a choice. Now it's a choice to do that, and I'll pay the consequences. Great. Sure. That's choice. The complication there is if I played football because it made me healthy and better at my life, and then I really specialized in football and then it messed me up, that's different. That was the original intention of having a diverse skill set in a strength and conditioning setting that respected your time and effort. Get in the gym, get out of the gym. Remember one of the original, these articles, I don't remember who it was like testosterone peaks in 55 minutes, right? In and out, shorter to the gym. Like literally Glassman says he noticed that people who spent the least amount of time in the gym made the most progress. And he was like, the efforts were short and intense. And when did that go away? It went away right away. So, if the notion
where guys started working out longer
longer, our program at our gym is, people double dip. I'm like, what? The first set of, crushing deadlift intervals wasn't hard enough for you?
I remember when I first got into CrossFit, and this is maybe 12 years ago. I forget when I started. I got to figure it out. But I remember just following, I would see the workouts even before. When I was just doing it off CrossFit.com, I would see that the workout was something like Fran or whatever. And I would go in and I would warm up for like 10 minutes and I would do my 3.5, 4 minute workout, whatever. And then I would leave.
That was it.
And I was like, that is it. And to me, it was in my head, I was like, I'm fucking badass. I'm better than everyone. And I have this secret elixir that they don't know about, that I only work out 4 minutes a day. And then the next day might be like, or 2 days later might be like a 1 rep, back squat. I'd go in, I'd do like 10 warm-up sets. I'd do like 2 or 3 lifts and I'm like, see ya.
Making great progress there.
And I was like,
practice handstands for 20 minutes. I'm elite.
I am so elite. And I only work out for 15 minutes at the most a day. And then it became, let's build on this. There's more and you need to do more and you need to do your supplemental work and you need to.
That's total human nature, right? Yeah. This is, that is just a perfect expression of more is better and we're humans and this is fun.
Yeah.
It's stinking fun. So, I was texting with Russ Green and we were talking about a lot of roads lead to Rome. Community is crucial. If you got to find your community again, wherever that is, surfing, your surfing crew, your old man rowing crew, it doesn't matter. Yeah. You just got to be in a group of people who have this kind of shared purpose a few days a week. And Russ is like church. It could be Soul Cycle. It can, you can exercise in a different way. The question is, do all of these things lead to the best functional outcome for when I'm 100? Because I know a lot of cyclists who can't stand all the way up. But they can stay bent over on a bike for a long time, right? But they can't squat down. They can't take a poop in the woods. They can't carry anything, right? And so you're just saying, that's no different than the sumo. That's no different than anyone else who loves to do their thing. The question is, you can't say that is the best long-term outcome.
Sure.
But it's okay. You have the choice. So what I love about where we're going now is we're seeing people become more sophisticated and Exosis does a great job. Strong First does a great job. There are so many programs now that look like a lot of sophisticated movement practice. Mm-hmm. Like you don't need to go to yoga. You know why? Because you did my 15-minute warm-up, which includes breath practice and positional competency and games. And we can create that tonic environment for that 30 to 45 minutes, hour that you get with me 3 or 4 times a week. Guarantee you I can touch all your shapes and positions and improve. You don't have to go out, but that is in itself not complete. You need to exercise more. You got to sleep. You got to get off the phone. You just got to do some other things that make you human again.
it's Glassman started something, like when they say started a revolution. He really did. And not only did that, but he created an army of experts. And these guys just went out and wanted to be all-knowing. And it seems like I meet them all over the place. These guys that took what they learned from him, but weren't done there. They were constantly seeking more and more knowledge.
And that should be, if Joseph Pilates was alive today, Pilates would not look like it looks today. It would have continued to evolve. Sure. And I think the dings on strength and conditioning, if you go back, let's just go back in time on the strength and conditioning on the Instagram. Oh, it doesn't exist 10 years ago. But you would see a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Just crap. Even the Olympic lifters are so much better today than they were a decade ago. Even the power lifters are more sophisticated than they were a decade.
I think that's every sport, though. The progression. I look in like extreme sports.
Holy crap.
The progression. I used to do mogul competitions when I was a kid, and it was a big deal to do one helicopter 360, and it was a big deal, like Daffy.
Do you remember the dinner roll? You were like, the dinner roll.
When he did that, it was on TV.
I'm talking about Johnny Mosley.
Yeah, Johnny Mosley. And you saw it and you went, I didn't know humans are capable of that. How did he do that? You found out, they're practicing on trampolines. Oh, how do I do that? Oh, no, I have to go practice on a trampoline.
Rise of Superman.
And so there's all this, cross-pollination of ideas, of seeing things, being able to replay it over and over and take it into sections, learn it, practice it. And so the progression of everything, even stand-up comedy, when Bob Newhart and those guys.
How lucky for you that you got to practice without the internet.
Good and bad. Good and bad because
you didn't get the immediate crushing feedback that you're terrible.
Not just that. These kids today that do it get to, all I got was like Evening at the Improv and Comedy on the Road, or maybe like an HBO special, which came out like once every couple months. And you got that and you could watch it and analyze it. These guys get to watch so much comedy.
You have to be so good so fast.
That's it. And they do become so good so fast. And, well, it's kind of like jazz. You got to be really good. You got to do it for a long time and do it really, really well.
They can become competent fast.
Exactly. Anyone's got a good 5
And that really is this development of the human. I think that I've heard this in so many domains. And I think even we'll go back to Glassman, where it sounds like we're Glassman fans. But he uses this example of unicycling. He's like, we learned a unicycle, you held onto a fence, unicycled, and you fell, and then you taught your friend something. And like, this is how we taught ourselves everything: kayaking, skiing, check this out. Did you do this? He's like, now you go into YouTube, you go into, you've already like had a unicycling, certification, right? Like someone has taught you, you've gone to a course, they sold you a DVD, and you haven't even unicycled yet. There's no experience in there, and there is no substitution for the reps. And it takes decades.
Yeah, it really does to be a master at anything. And, I don't know. I don't know where it's going. I don't know where this whole thing's going. Games.
I'm pro-human. I think we're smart enough. We don't always make good decisions. We have a good history of not making good decisions. But I really do feel like my kids are woke.
Yeah.
I have such high expectations for the consciousness of my children because I just think they're going to do it better than I am.
I do too. I look at my little daughter and like just the diet we've brought her up on. I wasn't brought up on a diet like she's on, and she knows why she's eating good foods and that they are good. And I didn't know what was good, and just the crap that, my parents thought canned vegetables were good for you. And, so maybe they are. Maybe this next generation or the generations after us are hopeful and do have, I just heard my buddy's a CEO of a beer company, and he said to me, they're not drinking beer like they used to because they think that's something their dad did that got their dad ugly, that turned him into a shitty guy. And so they're slowing down on that. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, they drink more spirits for like, they're all about taste and mixing drinks and, and I was like, oh, they're missing out on a lot of fucking fun, but,
Natty Light? What?
Yeah,
how are my kids going to meet friends without the Natty Light?
But, the internet's giving them access to everything. Before we go, cause I took up so much time of yours, but, I want to ask you a couple questions. Where are you going with this whole thing with MobilityWOD? What's going on?
Well, we are big rebrand relaunch in late spring, early summer. Realizing that we need to do a better job giving people cookie recipes, like templates, right? We've just got to do these things first. Get a chance to explain ourselves a little better. Right now, we unintentionally created this thing called the Library of Alexandria. It is the website has, when we built this, there were not many people managing this number of videos. It was porn architecture. My wife became an expert in porn site architecture.
Well, I was going to tell you, as you were saying that, years ago when I was doing my I met these people from the porn world that said, they pretty much find everything first in the internet, the way to
VHS, DVD,
streaming, you name it. I guess guys that just want to jerk off really want to bad enough that they will find a way to get it the fastest, get it with the most clarity.
What's that say about the human drive, right? I have this good mate who says, he's like, human beings are really only good at two things: starving. We can starve. We're so good at starving and reproducing. And those two drives, to eat and to reproduce, are they're powerful.
But so those guys know, and I send people to your stuff all the time. Somebody will go, hey, I've got, blah, blah, blah. And they always see me. I've got my Theragun on me, or I've got, my lacrosse ball, and I'm always working on stuff and fixing whatever little pain or tweak I have. And I always just go, just Google Kelly Starrett, and then whatever your pain is, put it in. If you've got, something to do with.
So we want to do a better job of taking that first step for people, make it even simpler for people. Because I'm always like, hey, let's teach the principles. And Juliet's like, people don't want principles right away. They want principles second. They need to know what to do first and what to do second. And that may not be the best for everyone, but that's going to be the best for the most. So we're working on that. And we've got to expand the conversation. I've got some ideas in my head about trying to raise the bar to reach the people who are not in this community, in this conversation, who don't shop at Whole Foods. We're not doing a good job of helping everyone, and we're going to lose a generation of kids. I don't know if you saw that 80% of Americans, this was like a DARPA or someone came out, could not even be drafted in the Army. We couldn't make the standards. Think how low the physical standards are to be in the Army, and 80% of us aren't ready for that.
Not to criticize anyone in the military, because I think it's great what you guys do, some of you, but no, and I, we know the elite. We always hear about the elite special forces. We see them. They're like CrossFit Games athletes. That's what they are. The majority, I had to write a script for a movie thing, and it was based on, part of the movie was about a guy at boot camp. So I went on YouTube and watched boot camp videos, and I'm not criticizing these people. Like, yes, it's an accomplishment and everything, but wow.
Well, and so what you did is you have this really great test of saying, hey, can you climb? Can you crawl? Can you carry something heavy?
But can you tell me that 80% of the Americans
we can't do it? And how about this? JFK started the presidential physical fitness test, which I know you were presidential level.
I remember that, doing the sit-ups.
You know why he did that? Because he suspected we had a population that wasn't prepared to go to war.
Yeah, interesting.
That was about making people ready, at least a base.
And then I was just talking to somebody recently that was telling me that phys ed was taken out of their school. Their school in America doesn't have phys ed class.
Yeah.
And I think Sean Sweeney was telling me that.
What we can't do is hold people accountable until we give them the option and the solution. So part of the chronic pain, part of the conversation that we're going to be responsible for is what we can be responsible for. Stand-up kids is our pride and joy.
Still working on that?
Yeah, we have 70,000 kids in America now not at sedentary desks.
Wow, that's amazing.
Just went into, there's a local school here in Sausalito, was in the news, but this local school has 80% obesity rate. About 140 kids. There are 6 white kids in that class, in that school, working at a 20% achievement rate. There are like 6 dads in there, 3 generations of public housing. It is an inner city gnarly school. Principal's been in there. It's the second year he's there. They've had 6 principals in like 7 years.
I thought Sausalito was like.
Well, there's a charter school there, and this school. We just went and flipped that school. And what we've got to do is we've got to say, where are are people coming from? And I'm talking about everyone. And
when you say you flip that school, you go in there and you work with them and try to get them to institute your programs?
No, we take all the sedentary sitting desks out and we put in standing desks.
Okay.
With stools and movement. We give kids a chance to move more.
Where's the money coming from for
We raise it.
Okay.
We raise it. Veridesk, all these cool desks in here, all Veridesk. Veridesk is our partners in all this. Right now, we've just started writing the grants for a big seminal piece of research with Berkeley in 3 countries, Austria, Australia, and the United States, looking at middle school interventions, trying to get movement in. Because again, I don't think sitting is better than standing. I think moving is better than not moving.
Right.
And when you're at least able to fidget and lean and perch and move and wiggle, we might be able to hit all your movement requirements because you're not on your ass.
Right.
Right. That means kids learn better. That means kids grow in a better, check all of the boxes. All of the research is very clear. People are like, it doesn't burn enough calories. Your back hurts. I'm like, you're weak. And sit on the ground if you need to take a break, or sit on a stool. But what we're seeing is we have disrupted.
So if anyone wants to get their school or their people involved,
standupkids.org.
Standupkids.org.
We were part of Michelle Obama's Let's Move initiative.
Okay.
We're with Donors Choose out of New York with Charles Best. We really are like, look, this is a kid's public health crisis. And one of the things that we believe strongly in around, the reason we give a crap about all this strength conditioning is that it teaches us, like, here's the example. You go to IKEA and they have that stress machine that shows you how many times they've stressed the chair. Like, this chair has been through 20,000 asses, right? And they have the machine that tries to break the chair. That's what strength conditioning is for human beings. We can stress test human beings and come up with best practices. We think eating this way. Turns out sleep really helps is important. Being able to downregulate makes a big difference, right? Being this strong or being able to move tells us about what better function is. Well, we can do this, apply all of those principles back into humanities. In fact, it was E.O. Wilson who wrote, Pulitzer winner and evolutionist biologist, who's like, look, the highest goals of science are to improve the humanities. That is what this is about. Mm-hmm. So if we want to make sense and rationalize all of the crap we see on Instagram about fitness, apply it to another generation of young kids. Take that technology, put it back into middle schools, in PE programs. We know what makes good, regular, stable, rad people.
Yep.
We do.
Yep.
Right? Why do we know as much as we do about food? Do you think it's because of the diet industry or is it because of the fitness industry? I'm going with fitness.
Fitness, yeah.
I'm going with these, we have learned more about human physiology and function and capacity through strength conditioning than any other group. It is the strength, local coach, local gym that will save us.
So when you say you're rebranding, what's it going to be? Where are people going to find this?
We will be the Ready State.
The Ready State.
Yeah. And the problem is, hindsight's 2020, but we were the first people to use the word mobility.
Right.
Just hashtag mobility and tell me what you see. It's insane, right? We've just we popularized that word.
Right.
And I use that word because it was a physio word. We mobilize joints. We're going to work on your mobility. We defined it. Now it literally is, there's 10,000 mobility anything. So it's very confusing. Second, we're the first group organization to use the word WOD in any way.
Yep.
Now there's sobriety WOD.
WODcast.
WOD. Right? I tried to buy Dick WOD, but it's already taken. You probably own it. And so now we take 2 words that are generic and mean nothing.
Yeah.
Mobility and WOD. Welcome to white beige.
Yeah.
And it means nothing. So the problem is it doesn't describe anything. So, I think I would have made a different choice, but I thought it was a good idea at the time. So we'll always do the workout of the day because we feel like if we give people programming, here's 10 minutes where I know I can improve the ball, improve the environment for 10 minutes. But there's just so many other things we care about around, and we're talking and working with so many people where we feel like we can really
You're the busiest guy in the world. You started back. I didn't know you were 23. Did you say 21?
We're the 21st CrossFit.
21st. I was just with Greg Chapman back in outside of Detroit last week, and he was like, I forget how low he was. He was like 11 or something when he started. Were you a Santa Cruz one?
I actually worked out at Santa Cruz with Greg Glassman.
Okay.
Yeah, he was there.
Wow.
I mean, back in the day, Annie was there.
Who brought you to it? How did you find it?
I found it on the internet. I was searching for how to Olympic lift with dumbbells, and I found this GIF of Nicole Olympic lifting with dumbbells. And
Nicole, that's still there?
Nicole Carroll, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I literally was like, this is interesting. And like, what's this website? Where are all these guns? There was something from this website called ShivWorks on there, and it was like how to slash people in the face with a knife. This guy was like a hand-to-hand knife expert, like street. And I remember watching this ShivWorks and being like, all right, this is fitness. And I went downstairs and I was like, just like, what are you doing? I'm like, learn how to slash someone's face with this knife. It was on this website. I'm like, this is the greatest. And I did some of the workouts and I loved it. And I realized that I was weak and I wasn't skilled and I wasn't conditioned and I was already a national champion and I thought I was the shit and I was not. And that's how I discovered it. I just totally fell into it. And then I literally was like, I wonder where these people are. Santa Cruz.
In all the years, if you had any say in the overall programming and everything of CrossFit, is there anything you would have done differently or taken out of it? Like said, I wouldn't have incorporated that movement or I would have added that movement or something?
We context matters for everything.
Yeah.
I think at some point you're like, okay, one of my great nerdy self things is that I love Dune. I'm obsessed with Dune.
Yeah, that is
book,
nerdy.
right? And there's a Dune quote that like the way of the desert is like you have to end things, and the Fremen will cut something off and at least say here it ends, right? Like it's brutal with a knife, but they're like here's the end, right? We're not going to just wait till it ends. At some point, we had to put a line in the sand and say let's begin here. And if you go in, like we don't do jumping pull-ups anymore. After just crushing people with jumping pull-ups and rhabdo, we just don't do jumping pull-ups anymore, right? And
jumping pull-ups can rhabdo someone? Really?
Yeah. We only had like 3 or 4 cases at our gym. And the point is,
I just would never see that as one that would create it.
Yeah, we had a there's if you like Google my name and like
just because it's older,
Bay Weekly or there was some rag and it's gone out of business. Something like the Guardian or something. They this girl did 30 jumping pull-ups and got rhabdo. She was a triathlete, and she was so shocked.
So weird.
Yeah, she was just. I mean, I think she'd been drinking.
I just thought, I always assumed the rhabdo. You always heard it was the GHD sit-ups.
Right.
Brought the rhabdo.
So like we don't do a lot of GHD sit-ups in our gym, but again, choice. That's okay.
And also it depends on the athlete. Like there are some things that if I don't do for a while and then I go back and do it, I'll be sore for like 3 weeks straight.
Yeah.
But if I don't do GHD sit-ups and then go on to nothing, I just have strong abs or something. But if I don't squat for a month and then I go out and squat, I can't walk for a week.
You're like, what happened?
Yeah.
So I think, if you went back into any strength and conditioning program, you would say, there's some things that maybe didn't serve us as well as we could, or didn't scale as much, or I didn't get the bang for the buck. But at some point we had to say, here's where we're going to start. And then let's chill the fuck out. Levitt time. People will level up. We'll make some mistakes. People will come in who are not prepared because they do not have full range of motion. They move like maniacs. They start to compete. Like we don't write anything on the board times anymore because if you value times, what do you get from your athletes? Who went the fastest?
Yeah.
Right? We always put everything on a clock. We believe in like the pressure.
Sure.
But we don't really care how much weight you used or how many reps you did because that's the thing we end up valuing.
Let me ask you a weird question. I'm jumping all over the place because I want to try to finish this up, but there's so much I want to ask you about. You moved out of that parking lot, San Francisco CrossFit. What were you
parking
paying?
lot of dreams.
What were you paying in rent?
Every quarter we had to pay $5,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I always thought it was like you paid like nothing.
That was for the first 3 years.
Oh, okay. So
we didn't pay anything for the first 3 years.
And then, but
I was general manager of that store.
But still, was that the place with the kayaks and the? Yeah. Oh, okay. So still, that's pretty cheap rent for San Francisco. Every quarter.
Yeah, our rent
That's the cheapest rent I've ever heard.
Our rent right now is $22,000 a month.
Yeah. So you went from being probably the richest CrossFit owner to like every other one.
Yeah, that's probably true. It was.
Why did you move?
We didn't have security because we were the only sublease in the Presidio. The sports basement would shut down the parking lot, and then things were becoming sophisticated. And it was really tough for us to, if we could always have a dedicated outdoor space, like people would come out and be like, "This is crazy," and I was like, "Really? You ever done an outdoor sport?" And they're like, oh, I never thought about it that way. And I was like, aren't the games outside? And they're like, yes. And I was like, isn't that weird? We train for that. And, I was like, you're just doing pull-ups outside. It's okay.
Well, I've always argued in this thing, like if you were fighting and you were a boxer and you wanted to be the heavyweight champ of the world, would you go to the nicest looking gym with a shitty coach, or would you go to the best coach with the shittiest gym? And everyone goes, I'd follow the coach.
Follow the coach. Well, what was really good is that we made the case that coaching mattered most, that the coach-athlete relationship was the most sacred relationship, that people could come and be seen, they could get some unconditional positive regard. We also were very clear that it was a coaching, teaching lab. It was like a teaching hospital. Like, you're a part of our experiment. Tomorrow will be better, but we'll be transparent about what we're doing in our thinking. And we had just, it obviously spoke to people, and we're leaving.
My wife's giving me the we're done. I've had her. Oh, there's my daughter looking to see what we're doing.
1 minute. Come on in. So, here's the deal: is that we're so grateful that we didn't have to.
She's got two dogs there.
That's all right. We're so grateful that we did not have to, be perfect. Now, I think it's much harder to start a system now. Just like you're saying, the comedians, right. What's expected of a new comic is insane. What's expected of a new coach, a new gym is insane. You have to come in and the wheel's already going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So if you're going to add speed to that wheel, you better be special.
Have something special.
Right?
Yep, that's a good point.
We all got to start at 1 mile an hour. And I'm really grateful for that because we made so many mistakes.
Come here, Harlow. My dog is a maniac.
What's up, amazing people? Sorry, it's my fault. We like each other so much.
Yeah. You guys have never met. We'll talk after the show. Let me think. If there's anything, I know there's going to be stuff like, why didn't I talk to Kelly about that? Why didn't I?
Do you remember when we first met?
Yes, in the parking lot, Santa Monica, at the CrossFit Games when they were doing Murph.
First time.
And I think I made some like horrible joke, but it was pretty funny. I'll remind you off air. That would offend a lot of people, but it was really funny because I was having a good laugh at that thing because I still am a firm believer that their swimming is pretty shitty in the CrossFit Games, and they were horrible back then. And I was laughing because I have a bit of a swimming background and I'm watching them. It was one of the only things that I was like, I could beat all of them right now.
But that is a true statement. And also, we have to start somewhere.
That's a very good point. And they've developed. And it is.
Remember that time you had to run a 5:45 mile, then swim 2 miles and run a 5:45 mile? No, you can't do that. What's up, good dogs? What's up, good dogs? I know.
This dog is the worst. Harlow. Sit down.
Well, I think we got to keep talking. Look, we have too much shared common experience. We have too many friends in common.
I know. And
I really apologize to everyone that we didn't get to answer all the fun questions.
And I love sending everyone to you right now. Like if somebody has any kind of mobility problem, soreness, ache, pain, whatever, you are my go-to guy. Where should I send them other than just going on YouTube and stealing your crap? Where do they find it?
At MobilityWOD is really curated and a good place to start.
Okay.
Right? You can enter your pain. It's pretty searchable. It'll get better. We're always getting better.
Right.
And then also, even some of the books like Deskbound or Ready to Run, like there's some simple tools in there.
Yeah, but
start somewhere. That's just it. Like
Supple Leopard's great. Anyone
it is. It's a little dense for a lot of people. They can't get through the first half of it,
Really? I think it's
Here's what's coming down the pipeline for me. I've got we're going to write a book for 40s and 50s and 60s. Golden age. It's about the long game, and It's about how to take care of the achy stuff and to set yourself up for success to be 100. Like we're going to get better.
That's a great thing, and I think
I'm working on for a book for kids. Like we just got to come on. Oh, you can come over, babe. And what I was going to say just about all this CrossFit, our next podcast season, the first 50 CrossFits. Where are they now?
Oh,
People Magazine.
I would love to. We've gotten a few of them lately.
I know.
But I would love.
Doug Chapman.
There's many of them that I'd like to see, and
Hyperfit.
Yeah, really
so
interesting.
Good.
Really interesting. Well, I can't thank you enough for doing the show. And the audience should know that I screwed up the whole thing. I left my recording equipment down in Sunnyvale. I ended up having to do radio today. So Kelly let me use his equipment. This is great. I've got to come back up here on Sunday for Brian.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah. So Brian's living right up here too.
He lives the next valley over. He's 10 minutes from me.
So we're going to have Brian McKenzie, another OG.
Maybe I'll run into you. Maybe I'll come.
Yeah, that'll
crash.
be fun. That will be really fun.
What Brian's doing right now is the best stuff in performance and strength conditioning.
It's amazing.
It's the best.
It's amazing.
It's going to blow your mind.
We're going to get into it. You'll hear it on an upcoming podcast because I started going back and trying to switch my whole thing by doing a lot of like trying to rebuild my aerobic system. And Brian's like, shut up, listen to me.
Come on up. Yep. It's changed everything.
Well, so Kelly Starrett, check him out. MobilityWOD at MobilityWOD.
That's it. WOD.
And get The Supple Leopard. It's great. It's a great book. It's a great reference. Everybody should have it on their shelf. And that's it. Thanks for listening. Check out our Patreon. Go to wadcastpodcast.com. You want to reach us at wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com. And all my live shows are at eddyift.com. So thank you, Kelly. And this was awesome.
Good, man.